Citius, Altius, Fortius, Communiter. Swifter, higher, stronger together. The Olympic motto updated 3 years ago with the latter added. Friday night greetings, Monique Huzon here for the recap of the week just passed in the Global Roundup. And gymnast Carlos Yulo, though victorious in his chosen individual events in the artistic floor exercises and the vault, the kid from Malate had the hopes and dreams and aspirations of 120 million compatriots with and behind him, with each aerial somersault, twist, turn, and in sticking the landing. Precisely the identical feeling shared by each and every Olympian who medaled or simply managed to finish the race or bout they set out to do, to include repeat medal finisher Nesty Petesio, Spitfire Ira Villegas, the rest of the boxers, our lady golfers, rower Joni Delgaco, swimmers, female gymnast, track, sprinters, fencing bet, judoka, weightlifters, and track star Ernest John Obiena, who narrowly lost a podium but still placing fourth and better than the 11th spot he mustered in the Tokyo Olympics. The Philippine Centennial delegation that competed in Paris was the biggest group the country has sent in a century of competition in the quadrennial Summer Games. 2 gold medals and a couple bronze finishes is not only the best haul for the country ever since, but ranked the Philippines in the 37th spot in the overall medal count, the best in all of Southeast Asia. And where would the country standing be had Bianca Pagdaganan and EJ Obiena squeaked by for a podium or medal performance? Still in all, the 2024 Paris Summer Games has left the country with images and moments to keep us talking for a long time, till the country preps itself yet anew for another shot at Citius, Altius, Fortius, Communiter in the City of Angels in 2028. But if the country seeks to sustain this direction set by its Boys and Girls of Summer 2024, it has to start with restoring the budget for the nation's athletes next year to at least match this year's, or preferably over and not the 37% slash reflected in the proposed 2025 GAA. The country's athletes deserve more, and the nation deserves better.
It is now in the international stage. And so we can see that ulit, ang sikat na naman ng Pilipinas. Pinapasikat ninyo ang Pilipinas sa buong mundo. Alam ko na iniisip ninyo, gymnastics, boxing, di ba, sa pole vault, yan yung iniisip lang ninyo yung event ninyo. Pero yung performance ninyo, may malaking kahulugan yan. It means a lot. May malaking kahulugan yan para sa amin dito na nanonood sa inyo, na sumisigaw at nagsusuporta sa inyo.
We will conduct a review of our legislation, among others, Republic Act 10699, the National Athletes and Coaches Benefits Incentives Act. Kailangan amendahan natin para may bibigay ng suporta at tulong po sa lahat ng mga atleta natin. So we shall be conducting a review. I will ask our chairman, Mike D, to conduct a review on how we can further improve the legislation para support natin ang sports sa Pilipinas and to make the appropriate appropriations.
Mr. Yulo's 2 goals is the only athlete from Southeast Asia, from an ASEAN nation, who's had 2 Olympic golds ever in any sport. So it's a real milestone. It's a real milestone for all of us. I mean, we shine a bit of the reflected glory of, of the Philippines.
No gathering on the planet provides the stage for where private dreams mesh perfectly with public ritual. And just like the spectacle it was when the games opened to all 329 sporting events and medal matches, and punctuated by the sights and sounds of the closing ceremonies over the weekend, the Olympic Games can truly lay claim as the greatest show on earth. Indeed, it was a sight to behold as the audience watched behind the suspended Olympic rings logo, which represents the 5 inhabited continents of the world, and soaked in the boom and bang of fireworks in Stade de France in Saint-Denis. Likewise, the silhouetted images of a huge billboard and muted gratitude and spectators seconding the message by clapping of artists and acrobats in white for a dance number on stage, and IOC President Thomas Bach with a group of select athletes flashing the manual heart symbol, and the audience and athletes slapping fives in the final parade, while a rapt audience watched outside the stadium and couples celebrated each other dancing. And the athletes filed into the stadium to wave goodbye and wish each other well, with the next Summer Games in the City of Angels in sight, and an endless stream of memorable moments of men and women in their finest hours. Rounding up our recap, VOA's Chris Casquejo sums up the continent's major events over the last 7 days in the Asia Weekly Report.
A look at U.S. Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz and his relationship with China. Welcome to VOA Asia Weekly. I'm Chris Casquejo in Washington. That story is just ahead, but first making headlines. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced Wednesday that he will not seek re-election as the ruling Liberal Democratic Party's leader. Kishida, who has faced low approval ratings and economic challenges, cited a need for party renewal. In Thailand, a court on Wednesday removed Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin from office over an ethical violation. It's the second shakeup in Thai politics after the same court ordered the main opposition Move Forward party to dissolve a week ago. The U.S. military conducted live fire drills in South Korea on Wednesday to test deployment readiness on the Korean peninsula. The drills took place fewer than 30 kilometers from the heavily fortified border with North Korea. 7 of Hong Kong's most prominent pro-democracy activists, including Jimmy Lai, founder of the now-defunct Apple Daily newspaper, lost their final bid to overturn their convictions. The city's top court on Monday ruled against their appeals of convictions for their roles in one of the biggest anti-government protests in 2019. Indonesian President Joko Widodo held his first cabinet meeting in his planned new capital of Nusantara on Monday. The outgoing leader wants to reassure investors his $32 billion mega project remains on track before he steps down this October. U.S. Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz's ties to China will likely inform his work if elected. But where does he stand on key issues, and how does Beijing see him? VOA's Anita Powell reports.
Tim Walz spent a year teaching in China in 1989 and later organized student trips, and says he has visited the country more than 30 times over the years. Republicans say Walz's long ties to China mean Beijing will welcome him joining the Harris ticket, and predict he will loosen hardline U.S. economic and trade policies.
She selected Tim Walz, a guy who wants to ship more manufacturing jobs to China.
Vance appeared to be referring to Walz's several years old support for trade with China as Minnesota's governor. Walz made no mention of China at his debut campaign appearance. But here's the then congressman in 2016 about how he viewed the country's relations with the United States.
I don't fall into the category that China necessarily needs to be an adversarial relationship. I totally disagree, and I think we need to stand firm on what they're doing in the South China Sea. And
with VOA in 2014, he described what it was like to live there for a year following the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests.
And it was very powerful, and I'm certainly honored to have been there and to see the spirit of the Chinese people about trying to very proud of their country.
In China, in the hours after his debut on the campaign trail, Harris's vice presidential pick quickly became a trending topic. This user said, "I think he might be friendly to China." Other Chinese internet users thought he would take a harder line. While in Congress, Walz co-sponsored a number of resolutions critical of China's human rights record. One nationalist military historian said the Democrats want to destroy China. Others commented on what Walz called his life-changing lunch with the Dalai Lama, Tibet's exiled leader. Keen China watchers say that so far Beijing has not publicly reacted. But here's what they see in Walz.
He's been very forthright in his criticisms of China's human rights record. And I think he's done that from a position that is maybe more credible. It's because of his kind of conspicuous earnestness and his sincerity.
Other China analysts agreed that the Harris-Walz administration is expected to largely continue the toughened China policies of the Biden and Trump administrations.
I think this should be seen around the world, in China, in Asia, as continuity in the complex, decades-long U.S. policy of recognizing the need to deal with China as a major power in the world, and that part of the world.
So as this duo, both born in 1964 under the same lunar zodiac sign, barnstorms America, Beijing can only wonder, what would the future hold with a pair of wood dragons in the White House? Anita Powell, VOA News, Washington.
Visit voanews.com for the most up-to-date stories. I'm Chris Casquejo. Finally, a hero's welcome for the two-time gold medal-winning Filipino men's gymnast. Hundreds of supporters gathered along Manila's main avenue on Wednesday to cheer for Carlos Yulo. Yulo's twin gold medals have earned him various cash incentives from the government worth at least $357,000, plus corporate sponsorships and free flights, among other perks. Thanks for watching VOA Asia Weekly.
And that's a wrap for tonight's show on the recap of the week just passed. Join me and you next Friday for the next set of stories for the week in review. Monique Tuzon here reminding you to stay connected by catching the news right here. Have a restful and mighty fine weekend, and thank you for watching the Global Roundup.